Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything You Missed the week of June 1st through the 7th. I'm Ryan Wingfield, bald and beautiful. World leaders met this week in Europe to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion, which is when Allied forces liberated Europe from Nazi control. Noticeably absent this year was Russian President Vladimir Putin, who wasn't invited due to his country's invasion of Ukraine, and former U.S. President Donald Trump, who wasn't invited because of his pro-Nazi stance. Also, convicted felons aren't allowed to leave the country. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was criticized for leaving the memorial service early so that he could campaign in the UK. It is what is being called a typical Brexit. Former President Donald Trump joined TikTok this week, presumably so that he could count the seconds until he goes to jail. When he was president, Donald Trump famously tried to ban the app over fear that it contained Chinese propaganda, but now that he's on it, it also contains Russian propaganda. Speaking of which, Russian is apparently using online influencers to raise fears that there could be a terrorist attack this summer during the Paris Olympics. This after Russia was banned from the Olympics due to their war with Ukraine. The worst part about it is the online influencers that Russia is using are doping. Mexico elected its first female president this week, who is also half Jewish. Her inauguration is expected to be the biggest celebration since she combined her quinceañera and bat mitzvah. The British government has finally started releasing pound notes with King Charles's face on it. This is most appreciated by Prince Andrew, who no longer has to tip strippers with pictures of his mom. North Korea has been using balloons to send bags of trash into South Korea in what it calls sincere presents. Technically, the two countries are still at war since the Korean War, but the fighting has now de-escalated to passive-aggressive behavior. A big week for space news. China was able to successfully launch a probe to the dark side of the moon, something doctors say everyone should do after the age of 40. Boeing was able to put 2 astronauts into space to the International Space Station. That launch was delayed twice because the astronauts kept insisting that they recheck to make sure the door was bolted on properly. And SpaceX launched the most powerful rocket it has ever launched, which one day may take people to Mars. The rocket launched so fast that it traveled faster than the speed of sound, which doesn't really matter much because there is no sound in space. Billionaire Rupert Murdoch got married for the 5th time this week. The 93-year-old married a 67-year-old woman, presumably because he got her pregnant. Tokyo officials are launching a new government app that they hope will help people meet up and make kids to battle the country's low birth rate. The app is called Crazy Horny Asians. And speaking of horny people online, X is finally living up to its name. The company has announced this week it is officially allowing porn to be shared among its users. Or if you still think of the company as Twitter, you could say, I taught a putty. I did ta a putty. I'll see you next week.